Okay, the first stop on my Rio Grande Southern adventure is Dolores, Colorado. And this is the home of Galloping Goose number 7, I think, or 5, number 5. Anyway, very nicely restored, like in 1998. The depot is a replica, and it opens at 9. A bed and breakfast place in Dolores that I had to eat breakfast in because I was waiting for the museum to open at 9, and I was the only person dining, so that made it interesting. Very nice.
Oh, really? Yeah, because he was so shy. Banana. Cornish. All of this, we spent all day.
Wow, even with a full load, that's just incredible.
There's a 4% grade out of Chama. This handles that just fine.
Oh, I know that grade real well.
Yeah, it's more of a matter of traction than it is power.
Okay. But it would have been configured like this, what, in its tourist operation year? My first stop outside of Dolores on my way to Rico, maybe part of the Rio Grande Southern Railroad, where that bridge crosses over the Dolores River. So I'm standing about as close as I can get to the bank without falling in the water. Maybe I can get a little closer. Dangerously. This is the old water tank at Rico, Colorado. The little town is above the former railroad line, up on a ridge along the highway. And this is down by the Dolores River. And as you can see, the aspens are starting to turn yellow. This is the town of Rico, which I think Wikipedia says has a year-round population of about 200. And Rico's former courthouse, which is now their city hall and library, all in one, just off the main road there. And a little better view of the aspen. Rico was also a silver boom town, and the population of the little place was over 5,000 back in the day. Now, like I said, no more than 200 live here year-round. This is what remains of one of the silver operations way back when. This is a view of Lizard Head, which is a pinnacle that's famous. A lot of Rio Grande Southern pictures from back in the day. I took this dirt road to get up here from the main road. I'm about maybe a quarter of a mile from the road. And we're getting up to where there's no trees on the mountain peaks, as we're above the tree line, as they would say, I guess. As you can see, there are no longer any aspen. Well, a few. I've been riding along what is described as the Galloping Goose Trail, which is a National Park or National Forest Service maintained path that is on the former right-of-way of the Rio Grande Southern. I've been probably traveling this for about 15 minutes now. I'm hoping to get to Trout Lake. And this is the remains of the Trout Lake Trestle, a very secluded spot. And it's closed to the public for walking across. And I'm headed to Trout Lake, which should be down that way, wherever the stream flows into it, maybe another quarter mile or so. So we're riding the right-of-way about 15 minutes after I last said I was doing the path, just after the Trout Lake Trestle. The road's a little better on this side than on the other side. And I finally made it to the water tank at Trout Lake. And there's the lake, of course, in the background mountain. And there are plenty of, I guess, rental cabins or private residences located around the lake. "60 years ago, the Rio Grande Southern was abandoned, so the old tank's been a silent reminder for a long, long time. And there's the highway over there in the far distance. Well, over there, somewhere in the tree line would have been where the railroad would have worked its way up and looped up to climb up and gain elevation on its way to Ophir and keep gaining elevation. And that mountain over there is called Cathedral Spires. And I've reached the northern terminus of the Rio Grande Southern. The only remaining in Ridgeway is the depot, which has been converted into a fairly nice residence. I'm not sure if it's sitting on the original location. I guess I'm going to check the internet when we get back to figure that out. And it's right next to a park where there's a big event going on of some sort or another. Ridgeway is a fairly nondescript sort of town, no big deal, downtown area. Now I'm headed to Ori, which is on the old Denver and Rio Grande Western. Well, just before I could get out of Ridgeway, I stumbled on this little railroad artifact collection just alongside the highway. So of course I couldn't resist. Anyway, it's all narrow gauge stuff, kind of cool. And there's also a little museum building there. It is supposedly open, so I'll check that out. This is Ridgeway, quite a bit different than Dolores, where I started. But they had another Goose. Number 4. Bottom drop gondola. It's like some kind of maintenance away car for the crew to sleep in, and a caboose, a livestock car, and a box car. Now in Ori, known as Switzerland of the North America. So we shall see. I've got to drive those mountains to get to Silverton. And they say it's a real white knuckle experience. So we shall find out. If I survive, I suppose. Leaving Ori on my way up to the scariest road, according to all the things I read, maybe in North America. Who knows? Sometimes that stuff is all over the bone. We shall see. Ori's a cool town. It's gone kind of upscale party sort of thing with of course the local brewery sort of stuff. Bear Creek Falls. It's outside of Ori, and this is probably my first 3 miles of the $1 Million Highway. Now in Hermosa, Colorado, about, I don't know, 10-12 miles outside of Durango, waiting for the first train this morning. This is kind of Durango and Silverton's maintenance yard, with railroad ties and all that sort of track stuff. Chased the 2 trains up to Silverton today, and then after that, head out of town. trip to Silverton. And this place is called Coal Bank Pass, I think. Anyway, the worst of the road is about to come, where I'll probably only be able to do about 15 or 20 miles an hour. And I'll be riding right along the edge. Something like that. But actually worse than that. Anyway, here we go. Coal Bank Pass again, as I may not have had the lens on automatic, which means the previous taping was probably a little blurred. And there's my Nissan ride. Down the road a bit further. I had to stop at this scenic spot because it shows the highway going off way over in the distance. I'm on the side of that mountain way over there. So we're on one curve after another on this road. And this is Silverton. Quite a view. You can see down there railroad tracks coming into town. Looks like the Durango and Silverton has done quite a bit of track maintenance over the last year. And I gotta make my way the rest of the way there. Some more sharp turns and then it's over. Only to do it all over again when I leave. Of course, I'm down to Silverton now. That hill there is where I was taking the video before. And of course the first place I head for is the train stop. This is the group that has the locomotive 315 inside the building. Looks like they just restored that nice drop gondola car there. Did a good job on it. And it looks like they may have added some track. There's a spur that runs all the way down that way. Not quite sure they got plans to store there, perhaps this derelict old equipment over here one day. But up the line there is what they refer to as a little Casey Jones, I believe, which is like a little motor car that they used to use on one of the lines that ran out of Silverton up into the silver mines years ago. I'll go check it out. And yes, it is in fact what they refer to as the Casey Jones, which was used on the Silverton Northern line. Normally it's stored in that engine house over there, so it's kind of a special treat to see it out. Looks like they just put a roof on it. Anyway, I think it could haul about 4 or 5 people. And the Silverton Northern line ran off somewhere in that direction, up that canyon and up those mountains somewhere. This is the interior of the little thing. Looks like it probably hold maybe 10 people if they all were skinny. And where the operator would have sat. I don't know what the steering wheel would have been for, perhaps just for a brake, because you sure couldn't steer it. Steam locomotive and the various rail cars stored up here in Durango, Silverton. Not quite sure what they'll use them for. They've been decaying for years. And over in the distance there is the train shed or engine shed for the little Casey Jones and also the 315. The steam locomotive that Lori and I ran behind, or actually got the chase, I should say, a few years ago. back this way, the Silverton Depot. And this is about as close as you'll get to a Durango and Silverton freight train nowadays. And the first Silverton train is backing down, getting ready to Y so it can turn itself around for the trip back to Durango. first Silverton train sitting on the westerly leg of the Y. Previous to this, you saw the second train coming up from Durango, crossing Mineral Creek, and that has already made its way into Silverton, and they're unloading at the moment. So as soon as they get finished, I'm sure they'll start to back down, and there'll be some sort of maneuvering going on so the trains can get themselves orientated to go back toward Durango. The main line switch line for the Y. As the first train, I think, is about ready to pull out of the main line. Going out onto the main, and the other train backing down to the Y. Not sure what that's all about. And now the second Durango change on the westerly leg of the Y. Kind of waiting its turn to get out on the Y on the main line and go back to the station. They clean the grates, I think, on the drop the coals or whatever on the fire there and clean them out. And there's an ash pit right underneath the locomotive. And I'm going to go get myself something to drink because it's awful dry out here and my lips are cheap. And I've arrived in Galloping, New Mexico. The Rancho. Seems to be a cool place. Back in the day, supposedly a lot of celebrities stayed here. I think those days have passed, but it's still a cool building. Right on historic US Route 66. Place where you can get your kicks.
Very nice to meet you. I'm Jolene. I'm here. I stay over there. Thank you. I always do.
Oh, here I am in my El Rancho room, where supposedly lots of stars stayed back in the day. Not particularly in this room, but maybe somewhere else in the building. Anyway, very clean, old style, old school, which is right up my alley. It works, and it actually wasn't that expensive, thanks to my wife for getting us, I should say, a good deal. And it is sanitized for my protection. Follow the rancho during the daylight and dusty Gallop, New Mexico. And I'm about ready to ride around town and just explore a little bit to kill some time, as I'm here on historic Route 66. I'm here at the Gallup Visitor Center and also Amtrak and Cultural Center building. Lot is all this forlorn Santa Fe caboose that was donated to the Gallup Historical Society. It has some kind of an interesting, I don't know, I guess you'd call that artwork with like a map of northwestern New Mexico on its side. So I guess it's to promote tourism. Anyway, sitting way down here at the end of the parking lot where probably very few people ever see it. And that's the Visitor Center, and also Amtrak Station and Cultural Center. 3 functions in one, I suppose. And that's quiet Gallup here on a Sunday morning. Just past Earl's Diner a little bit ago, which is where we ate with the kids back in 1996. Still looks exactly the same. This is a yard, or the tracks I should say, in Gallup. I just missed a real long double-stack container train rolling through just a little bit ago. Snuck up so quick, so quietly. I was on top of it before I could even get my camera out of my hand. And all kinds of trains in Gallup, but can't ever seem to catch that front end of it. I left today. A lot of cars off full of machines. Chinle, Arizona,